Alright guys, so in this video I'm going to show you guys how I approach my bass lines. I'm going to use the beat that I used from the last video when I was showing you guys the arpeggios. I'm going to use that melody and I'll add a bass line to it. So the two things that I do is I add an 808 and I'll add like a synth bass line, right? So let's play the beat one time. Alright, so that's the beat. Now I usually go based off the kick drum sometimes. Sometimes I do my 808s first to get a sense of how I want the kick to go, but the kick and the bass drum will complement each other. Since I already did the kick drum just to illustrate how the beat would go in the previous video, I already have my kick drum done, so I'll add my 808 based on that kick drum pattern. Alright, so right now I'm using Ableton. That's what I use to produce. A lot of people, they use FL, some people use Logic. It's whatever you're comfortable with. There's no preference, there's no industry standard or whatever. A lot of people will say it's FL, but that's not true. A lot of hits were made on different DAWs, so it doesn't matter what DAW you're using. As long as you're comfortable with it, just use that. So I'm gonna go to my 808 that I have. I like to use the Murder 808 trunk. So that's the 808 that I like to use. So I got the sound from Splice. I'll show you guys how to use that in another video. But what I did was I grabbed a sample of the sound and I use it as a MIDI file. So here, because the sound itself is very short for the attack, right? So I do a lot of editing with my sound. So let me change the view so you guys can see that. So I found a sound that I like, an 808 sound, and I added it to my Ableton folder. So anytime I want to choose an 808, I just go to my 808 folders that I have here. I have a whole bunch of different 808s that I use. But for the R&B, I like to use the Murder one from Murder Beats. So it's called Murder 808 Trunk. I grab that sample sound and I use it as a MIDI, right? So the attack itself is very short, right? The release, very short. So instead of holding it to get a better sound, what I do is I edit it here, right? So for those that use Ableton, you click on that. It's going to change the length for the attack and the release into that sound, right? So it's going to lengthen the sound. And then I just adjust my volume. Alright, so that's hitting right there. Okay, so let's play the beat one more time. Alright, cool. So what I'll do is I'll probably add the 808 note to most of the kick drum. I probably won't do all of it, just to give it a better feel so it's not too much. So let's see how that sounds. Let's record that. Alright, so I kind of like that feel. Now I just gotta adjust all the notes. Bring this down. So I'll synchronize it. Alright, so that sounds good. So this is how I would approach adding an 808 to the beat, right? So I have my kick drum here. Bring that up so you can see that. Alright, so I got my kick drum here. So most of the kick notes, they have an 808 attached to it, but some of them don't. So for example, when I have like a double kick, right, because the 808 already lengthens, I don't need to do it twice, especially when I have the triplet right here, right? It sounds good as is. I don't want to make it too much, so I don't add triplets for my 808. So this is how I would approach adding the 808 to this beat. So let me play it one more time. Alright, so that's one sound. Another sound that I will use is a synth bass, probably for the verse or the pre-hook. However you want to arrange your beat, you could choose whichever one. So let's go to Omnisphere. Omnisphere is one VST that I use. I love it for a lot of things, for a lot of lead, a lot of synth bass sounds. It's a great VST for those that are looking for VSTs to get. A lot of producers use this. Alright, so I use the growler sound. Growler move bass. Alright, that's the sound that I use for a lot of my R&B beats that I do. Alright, just love the way it sounds. Alright, so let's see. Alright, so that's probably what I'll do. Let me add another section for my arpeggio. Bring this up. So do the same thing again. I synchronize it, but I don't synchronize all the notes just because I slid this note into that one. Alright. Now with this sound, if I do hold it and I bring it to another note after a certain length of time, it does change the sound. Alright. See how it becomes brighter? If you want to keep the dark note, you have to detach the notes, do not connect them. So that's what I was doing here. So let's see how it sounds. Just this section. Alright, so we have that. You see how that would sound with the 808 going into that section. So I just realized my MIDI was below, so it's probably cut off. So I'll just do it one more time so you guys can see the notes. So that's what I did with my synth bass, right? So I have my 808 here. I got my synth bass here. So this will probably be the verse. And then when the beat comes back in, I still have my synth bass going. Alright, so let's see how that whole section sounds. Alright, so now you do have the option, right? So this is the first part of the hook, right? So the A section. So the B section, you could actually have the 808 coming back in, which is what a lot of people do. So let's see. So there's no right or wrong. It's whatever you feel is right, then go with that. Whatever the artist wants, go with that. So you decide. There's no right or wrong. You can add the synth bass for both A and B section for the verse, or you can add the synth bass for the A section, the 808 for the B section. It's whatever you feel is dope. So there's no right or wrong when it comes to choosing the synth bass and the 808. If you want the whole song to have just an 808, you can do that as well. If you want the synth bass and the pre-hook, you can do that as well. Whatever feels comfortable, whatever feels good, just go with that. So that's what I would do when I choose my 808s and my bass lines. So I have the two here. I have the 808 and then I have the synth bass just to change it up. So that's how I approach my bass lines when I'm making my beats. Alright, if you have any questions, ask me, I got you.